Welcome to the Executive Coaching Podcast, where executive coach Alicia Cowan will discuss leadership topics and coaching solutions to tackle the most difficult problems that keep you from leading your team to success.
Hi, it's Alicia Cowan, and welcome to episode number 14 of the Executive Coaching Podcast. We are really excited today as I'm recording this because it's the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, and the kids are headed off to their last day of school today. So we have a fifth grader that is officially heading into middle school next year and a seventh grader that's heading into eighth grade. And so they were very excited to have the last day of school today. And yesterday I was at this amazing event. And I'm part of this women's executive group called the Fee League here. And we had a local event here in the Tampa area. And it was really an amazing event. And I think definitely I will give you more later at a later date on one of these future podcasts, because the content was so amazing. And we talked a lot about strategy and what that means and what that looks like as an executive and through the lens of being a woman as well. But so many great conversations were had as a part of it, and met a lot of wonderful women, reconnected with some I already knew, but definitely more to come on that because it was great. And I will say though, while we were, of course, having a great intellectual conversation around the content and the topic of strategy, a lot of the buzz was around the Memorial Day weekend and the start of summer. And this is something that I think is very timely, as this is going to air at the beginning of June. And I've been thinking a lot about just taking time off. And one of my earlier podcasts was around managing time as an executive and how do you best prioritize your time and things like that. And I think there is a lot of executives, and potentially yourself included, that don't prioritize their time away from work as well as their time within the four walls, right, of being at the workplace. So I want to talk a little bit about that today and taking time off. You know, as a leader, we set the tone. We know this, and we know that what that means in the workplace. And a lot of times on this podcast, we'll discuss, you know, the different angles of leading yourself, leading others, and leading the organization. And I think at times when it comes down to time off, leaders feel overwhelmed at the prospect of even taking a vacation or even an unexpected illness, and taking some sick time, whether it be for themselves or caring for a loved one or, you know, someone else, right? And perhaps this feels familiar to you, you know, and some of the thoughts or some of the things that I hear are feelings of guilt because of thoughts like, you know, the business can't run without me. I need to check in. Guilt around feeling like others are working so hard and I don't feel like I can relax because we have so much going on right now, right? Unprepared, right? Feeling unprepared to take time off. And again, that is potentially coming from that sense of overwhelm and the ubiquitous, I'm busy and there's so much to do, right? And sometimes there's feelings of fear, right? Like, what if the team needs me? Or what if they make a mistake and it's exposed that they did something incorrectly? And sometimes I even hear this like weird badge of honor that sometimes leaders use, where they'll say things like, I haven't taken a day off since, you know, insert time and length of time here, or I've never used a sick day, right? And I think again, this isn't like school where we get a certificate of completion or certificate of achievement for not ever having missed a day, right? 100% attendance. I think sometimes is some of the things that I hear, but that's not the case at work, right? And I don't think it necessarily needs to be looked at as a source of pride. And it doesn't necessarily get us, I don't know, I guess recognition or right, this achievement just because we never take time off. And I think just the opposite. So, you know, and again, I'm probably not talking to a lot of you on this podcast that are in that boat, but let's talk about why it is good to take some time off and truly, really unplug. So all the evidence points to levels of higher productivity after your brain and your body can truly unplug, play, relax, and rest. Right. I think, again, definitely not my area of expertise from the science perspective, but if you want to do the research, so Googleable to look into this, it's really good for you. Right. And I think all the evidence shows it, right? You can come back stronger and better and fresh and reinvigorated than when you left. I think thinking about from the team perspective, it allows you to give your team a chance to operate without you. And as scary as that may be, and it may feel, it's okay, right? It's for us to release and to allow them, again, with preparation, of course, but to make decisions on their own and to lead on their own, and for you to see what they can do in your absence. And it gives a great opportunity for feedback on the back end to talk about how it went. And so you're thinking about yourself, your team, but also the org. And I think taking time off and doing it well for ourselves, for our team, also sets the example for the organization. And so you have to remember it's also bigger than you and how you are taking time away from work. You set the example for the rest of the organization and let them know it's okay to take time off and to use their time away from work. Two, it shows them how to operate while you're on TO, right? And there's a reminder that everybody is taking cues from you on how you lead, how you don't lead while you're also on vacation. So how you set yourself up to leave and then how you operate when you're out really sets them up to not only, again, just do what I say, but also see what I do. And they know exactly how to behave. So if you're constantly checking in or jumping on calls, answering emails when it's not an emergency, they're going to take that cue from you. Even if you say you don't need to, you don't necessarily need to do what I do, they're going to take that cue, as that is the expectation. Now, again, I'm going to leave all true emergencies or true fires, right? And how you define that up to you. But true emergencies aside, right? We're just talking about the day to day. And I know plenty. I've heard it plenty of times of leaders either having the expectation for themselves or sometimes even their teams to check email, to check in, to do certain things. And again, I won't say that there's a right or wrong, but I think setting your own expectations and what you are going to check in on, and how you lead and how you set that expectation of others is super important. So being able to define it, but know that whatever you decide, right or wrong for you in the organization, others are going to follow that example. So hopefully I've given a little food for thought there. I'm going to go into the tactical. Right. So we just talked about a lot of different mindsets and maybe how you might be thinking about taking time away. And I think thinking about those three things again, how it's good for yourself, how it's good for your team, how it's good for your organization to see you lead in this way. Hopefully you can think and shift. And as we head into summer, thinking about how you're going to prep and maybe take some time away. All right. So if you're convinced, whether it is a staycation, just a day off, again, for some self-care, maybe week to 2 weeks, however long vacation that you're going to take some time away, let's talk through how you can prep for it and how to best set yourself up and the team and the organization for your potential stepping away. So number one, I'm going to give you a couple of tips here, but number one, communication. I know, really simple, but giving everybody a heads up well in advance of the dates that you're going to be out. If it all, again, this is again planned time off, giving that heads up to everyone allows them and yourself some time to do the preparation, right? So you can give everybody plenty of time to get on your calendar and vice versa so that you can talk through it. And to block your calendar, give yourself some time for the handoff, right? And I think giving chunks of time ahead of time with yourself, with your team, blocking those blocks, as well as when you come back. Sometimes it's really helpful just to give yourself some time in the morning when you return to check through your emails, time with your team to do the one-on-ones, to check back in. But creating those blocks in your calendar, because if you ever notice, sometimes we run all the way up to a vacation and we have all the meetings, and then there's all these, again, action items that come out of it. That can be a lot. That can be heavy. So giving yourself some chunks of time even slivers, right? Just to make sure you have some time to prep properly. And I've even heard of leaders sometimes putting it into their signature block of saying, hey, heads up, I'm going to be out on these dates. Okay, so communication, key. Two, doing the block and tackle of planning ahead. So again, you've got those blocks of time for before and after, and then using it using it to use one-on-ones to plan ahead and touch base with your team on all the work, right? It allows you to talk through anything and contingency plans, which we'll get to here in a couple of more steps. But use those one-on-ones for your planning time. And then 3, the handoff, right? You potentially will have somebody or maybe a few somebodies to hand off the work to. So maybe it's your number 2, but maybe your number 2 and 3, prep them, get them ready. So if you have a point person in place, give them all of the things that they need to know, the projects, the work, where all the stuff is at, all the information, and properly hand them off. And it may take more than one meeting to do so, but make sure that they have everything that they need just in case. And of course, set your out of office with this number 2 or number 3's information so that people know who to contact and they have contacts for other things if needed, right? So make sure your out of office is on. Number 4, go through the contingency plan. Okay. If you have a break only in case of emergencies situation, make sure you know, again, who it's going to funnel through and talk to that person again. Perhaps it's your number 2 person that you've designated. And if there is an emergency, true emergency, know what that is going to mean for you. So you can say, here's the situations that you need to contact me. And then know that if this person is going to contact you, that they're going to use whatever means of communication you agree on. Maybe it's like, you will call me directly on this number in case of emergency, and make sure you have all those contingencies passed off. So create a lot of like if-then statements, right? Here's some contingency plans as my point person, and here's what you need to know, right, while I'm out. Okay. All right. You've done all the prep work. Step number 5, while you're out, definitely truly unplug. Like we were saying earlier, it really benefits you, your brain, your body, everything, to truly just check out and relax while you're out. And resist that urge to just check in for checking in's sake, to responding to emails, and remembering the signal that it sends when you are consistently working while you are on vacation. Remember, if there's an emergency, your point person, your number 2, knows they will contact you directly and how they'll contact you. So you don't necessarily need to have that anxiety around situations that may or may not come up. They know how to contact you. Okay. So check out. All right. Number 6, time to come back strong. So make sure, again, use that block time to allow yourself to catch up. Know there are ebbs and flows to this. And yes, that morning back can be overwhelming. So again, use that time to check back in, meet with your point person and talk through anything that may have come up, meet with your team during those planned check-ins that you prepared before you left, check back in, and deliver lots of great feedback. There's probably so many things that went really well while you were out, and there may be opportunities to provide some feedback and hear about what went on while you were out. And then, of course, last but not least, step number 7, plan your next vacation or time away from work. And you can also do this with your team. Help others on your team, in your organization, with what you've learned and how you take time away from work. Okay. This is super important. Again, not only for yourself, but to allow your team and your organization do this as well, right? And simple questions that you can use during your one-on-ones is like, when's the last time you took some time away from work? When's your next planned time away from work? All those are great conversation starters to really check in and see how people are feeling, how they're using time away, asking how they're going to prep for their time away from work, and supporting them through that. Right. Again, we know it is so beneficial. And as we head into this fun summer, some of us live in parts of the world where, getting outside and being in the warm weather and having some fun is right, a limited time of the year. So I'm lucky enough in Tampa where it kind of feels like summer all the time, but we here to get very excited about the kickstart to summer and all that it brings. So go use your time well. and encourage your teams to do the same. You're a leader, they are following your example, and listen, time to have some fun summer. All right. As always, if you want some help with this, or if you want to talk through anything, or if this resonates with you, please share it with a friend. And I would be so happy if you need further conversation around this to connect. You can reach out to me on this platform. I'm always on LinkedIn. AliciaCowanCoaching.com is my website. So thankful for you listening. Have a great day and talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Executive Coaching Podcast with Alicia Cowan. If you're ready to have an executive coach who's ready to help you lead your team to success, then book an introductory call at AliciaCowanCoaching.com/call.